and somebody had shot a deer on his land, and then they were going to sneak around and come get it like at night. And he goes and lays down in the grass and hides.
At 72, Ronnie Dunn just shattered decades of assumptions about Brooks and Dunn with a revelation no one saw coming. Fans who believed the duo's story was all harmony and brotherhood may need to sit down. Behind the chart-topping hits and reunion tours lies a truth that changes everything. This bombshell confession from Ronnie Dunn is so shocking, you might not believe it at first. When Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks were first paired together by their record label in 1990, neither man expected the collaboration to endure. Both were seasoned musicians in their own right, each carrying ambitions, egos, and personal visions of what their careers should look like. Dunn, already known for his powerful, soulful voice and skill as a songwriter, and Brooks, recognized for his lyrical creativity and dynamic stage presence, came from very different musical backgrounds. The label's decision to pair them was, in their eyes, a business experiment rather than a natural alignment of talent. In interviews looking back, Dunn has admitted that he and Brooks genuinely didn't believe they'd last more than 3 years as a duo. The advice from their label was clear: write songs together, find a sound, and see what sticks. But to Dunn and Brooks, the concept of sticking together felt almost absurd at first. Both were accustomed to pursuing their own careers independently, crafting songs according to their own instincts, and performing with the confidence of solitary artists. The idea that two strong-willed songwriters could mesh seamlessly seemed at best optimistic. What happened instead was almost miraculous. During a single intense writing weekend, the two men created Brand New Man, a song that would not only become their first major hit, but also the anthem that defined the start of their career as a duo. It was a song born out of spontaneous chemistry and shared vision, a rare spark that neither of them anticipated. Brooks's knack for narrative storytelling meshed perfectly with Dunn's emotive vocal style, creating a sound that was both fresh and authentic. The songwriting process revealed an unspoken synergy. Ideas bounced effortlessly between them, melodies and lyrics evolved naturally, and a musical dialogue emerged that neither had experienced before with other collaborators. That weekend marked more than just the creation of a hit. It was the foundation of a partnership that would endure far longer than either had imagined. The success of Brand New Man gave them immediate credibility and a tangible reason to keep going. What began as a tentative experiment became a shared mission, fueled by mutual respect and a growing friendship. They quickly realized that their contrasting strengths weren't obstacles, but complementary forces. Dunn's powerhouse vocals counterbalanced by Brooks' clever lyricism, Brooks's creative spontaneity, sharpened by Dunn's disciplined approach to songcraft. Their early uncertainty only amplified the impact of their initial success. Neither had anticipated that a label's experimental pairing would lead to a career-defining collaboration, one that would eventually make Brooks and Dunn one of the most iconic duos in country music history. That first weekend of songwriting, the serendipitous creation of Brand New Man, and the resulting surprise of their immediate success set the tone for a partnership defined by resilience, creativity, and an unshakable connection that would endure decades. A beginning that, in hindsight, seemed improbable, yet perfectly inevitable. Throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s, Brooks and Dunn became one of the most successful acts in country music, their albums topping charts and their hits dominating airwaves. Yet behind the scenes, the duo's remarkable public synergy masked a relationship that was far from effortless. Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks have both been candid about how different they were when they were first paired together and how little they had in common beyond a shared pursuit of success. They came from separate musical paths, distinct personal histories, and contrasting temperaments, making their collaboration in many ways a delicate balancing act. Dunn, known for his introspective, soulful approach to music, often gravitated toward emotionally charged lyrics and precision in performance. Brooks, on the other hand, carried a more spontaneous, playful energy, infusing songs with wit, humor, and a storytelling flair. Where Dunn approached songwriting with careful deliberation, Brooks thrived on improvisation and experimentation. In candid interviews, both have described the early days of their partnership as something like a NASCAR race, high speed, intense, and prone to collision. Their personalities didn't naturally align. Disagreements over creative choices were frequent, and clashes seemed almost inevitable. Yet, in an unusual paradox, it was this very tension that forged a musical partnership capable of producing hits that resonated with fans nationwide. Despite their differences, Dunn and Brooks discovered that their contrasting styles were complementary. Where Brooks could lighten a song with clever turns of phrase, Dunn could anchor it with a powerful vocal delivery that conveyed sincerity and depth. This balance created a sound that was instantly recognizable, gritty yet polished, traditional yet contemporary. Even as their personal connection remained somewhat reserved, their musical chemistry grew stronger with each album, each tour, each performance. Their ability to channel tension into art became a defining feature of their success. The duo has openly admitted that the partnership required compromise and constant negotiation. They did not share hobbies, social circles, or even lifestyle preferences. Yet they shared a commitment to the craft and a determination to make the collaboration work, no matter how unlikely it seemed. In many ways, Brooks and Dunn's story defied expectations. Two individuals with minimal personal common ground, creating a professional relationship that lasted over 2 decades. The public saw seamless harmonies, memorable hooks, and chart-topping albums, but the reality behind the hits was a complex mix of mutual respect, creative friction, and disciplined professionalism. By the late 2000s, the unusual dynamic that had once seemed precarious had become a cornerstone of their identity. Fans may have assumed that the duo's longevity was rooted in friendship or similar personalities, but in truth, it was precisely the opposite. Their differences, once a potential obstacle, became the engine driving innovation, creativity, and a career that would cement Brooks and Dunn as a legendary act in country music history. When Brooks and Dunn announced their decision to step back from performing together around 2009 to 2010, the public narrative was carefully framed as a mutual, amicable break. Fans were told that the duo simply needed time apart, a pause after decades of touring, recording, and relentless public attention. But in candid interviews, Ronnie Dunn has offered a far more unvarnished and revealing account of what really happened, one that contradicts the polished, media-friendly version of events. Dunn explained that their split wasn't the result of a peaceful agreement or a well-considered plan for the future. It was, in his words, a deliberate attempt to blow it real hard. By this point, Brooks and Dunn had spent nearly 2 decades together, achieving a level of commercial success few country acts could match. They had written and performed some of the genre's most enduring hits, amassed countless awards, and become fixtures in the public imagination. Yet the intensity of such a long-term collaboration, combined with their very different personalities, had begun to take its toll. Creative disagreements, differing approaches to music and touring, and the inevitable pressures of constant public scrutiny had built up over the years. Dunn's admission frames the split not as a failure, but as a natural climax of a partnership that had reached its limits, at least for the moment. The phrase, "we tried to blow it real hard," reflects a level of honesty that the duo rarely displayed publicly. It suggests that both men recognized the friction between them and, rather than pretending everything was perfect, they allowed themselves to confront the tension head-on. It was an act of candid realism, acknowledging that a partnership, no matter how successful, can be tested by time, ambition, and personal differences. This approach diverged sharply from the usual sanitized narrative of celebrity splits. the kind that implies everything is friendly, understandable, and graceful. Dunn's framing admits that their initial departure was messy, human, and entirely grounded in the reality of two strong-willed artists trying to find their own paths. Interestingly, the way Brooks and Dunn handled this period also speaks to their professionalism. Even as the duo took a step back, they did so without burning bridges completely. There was no public feud, no acrimony broadcast for media spectacle. Instead, there was an unspoken understanding that the partnership had run its course for a time. Both men pursued solo projects and personal endeavors, allowing themselves space to explore musical directions independently. Yet beneath this separation lingered the foundation of trust and mutual respect that had always underpinned their collaboration. In 2024, Ronnie Dunn made headlines not for a new song or a tour announcement, but for a strikingly candid insight into the world of country music, a world he knows intimately after decades at the top. Appearing on This Past Weekend with Theo Von, Dunn delivered one of the more startling bombshell-style statements of his career, pulling back the curtain on an industry often portrayed to the public as wholesome, friendly, and almost familial. What he revealed was anything but cozy. Behind the polished exterior, the reality of country music is fiercely competitive, with rivalries and resentments simmering beneath the surface. Dunn's blunt declaration that everybody hates one another behind the scenes caught fans and industry insiders off guard. Country music, especially in the public imagination, is often painted as a supportive community, artists collaborating on songwriting sessions, performing at charity events, and sharing stories of mentorship and camaraderie. But Dunn's assessment stripped away that veneer, revealing an undercurrent of competition that can be ruthless. He emphasized that despite appearances, success in the industry often comes at the expense of others, and that alliances are fragile, sometimes formed out of convenience rather than genuine friendship. This revelation resonated particularly because of Dunn's long and storied career with Kix Brooks. As one half of Brooks and Dunn, he had experienced the highs of superstardom, the pressure of maintaining relevance in an evolving industry, and the tension of navigating personal and professional relationships under constant scrutiny. The duo's own partnership, with its admitted differences and behind-the-scenes friction, gave Dunn a unique vantage point. He spoke with the authority of someone who had lived through the delicate balancing act of competing egos, label demands, fan expectations, and the relentless churn of the music business. Dunn's comments also offered a rare peek at the psychological toll of the country music world. While the public sees chart-topping hits, awards, and sold-out arenas, behind the scenes lies a relentless environment where success is measured not only by talent, but also by strategy, networking, and timing. His words implied that artists must navigate friendships, rivalries, and industry politics carefully, lest ambition or perceived slights derail their careers. The family-style image promoted by media and fan culture, he suggested, often masks the high-stakes reality of survival and prominence in a cutthroat creative field. Moreover, the candidness of Dunn's statement reflects a broader willingness to break from the polished narratives that often dominate celebrity interviews. He did not couch his observation in euphemism or soften it with reassurance. Instead, he delivered it with the same no-nonsense honesty that characterized his approach to music. After nearly a decade apart, Brooks and Dunn's reunion in the late 2000s marked one of the most celebrated comebacks in modern country music. Fans who had grown up with hits like Boot Scootin' Boogie and My Maria were thrilled to see the duo step back on stage, not just to revisit their classics, but to create new work that reflected their growth as artists and as collaborators. Projects like Reboot and Reboot the Zeitz showcased a reinvigorated partnership, bringing together Brooks and Dunn with a new generation of country musicians while maintaining the core sound that had made them iconic. The reunion wasn't simply a nostalgic exercise. It was a deliberate, mature statement about who they had become both individually and as a duo. In interviews during this period, Ronnie Dunn has been remarkably candid about the evolution of their approach to music. Gone was the intensity and hyper-awareness of the early years, when the duo navigated a competitive industry with strict label expectations and the looming pressure of maintaining their chart dominance. Instead, Dunn emphasized a sense of creative freedom and enjoyment, describing how they deliberately choose not to worry about industry rules or the expectations of others. He noted that their approach now is collaborative in the truest sense, giving guest artists room to reinterpret the songs, infusing projects with fresh perspectives, and focusing on the joy of the process rather than the fear of failure. This attitude reflects a significant transformation from their early career. In the 1990s and 2000s, Brooks and Dunn were constantly conscious of the stakes. Every album, every single, and every tour carried the weight of sustaining their reputation, satisfying labels, and outperforming rivals. That high-pressure environment fostered a careful, sometimes tense creative process. Post-reunion, however, the duo embraced a self-directed philosophy. Dunn has described the dynamic as freeing. Instead of obsessing over competition or commercial metrics, they prioritize authenticity, chemistry, and the satisfaction of making music that feels genuine to them. This evolution is evident in the reboot projects, where they invited contemporary country stars like Casey Musgraves, Kane Brown, and Brett Young to reinterpret their classics, blending respect for the original material with a playful openness to innovation. While the duo's public image often emphasized friendship, shared success, and seamless collaboration, Dunn has consistently pushed back against the oversimplified, "we're just great friends" narrative. Instead, he frames their relationship as a professional alliance forged through talent, perseverance, and an acute understanding of the challenges inherent in the country music industry. Dunn's perspective is refreshingly honest. He acknowledges that neither he nor Kix Brooks expected their pairing to last when they first joined forces in 1990. Their early work together, producing hits like Brand New Man, was as much a product of serendipity as it was skill. In interviews, Dunn has repeatedly emphasized that the initial chemistry, though powerful, was not underpinned by personal similarity. In fact, he has noted that the two had absolutely nothing in common outside their shared drive to succeed. That awareness of difference, paired with the pressures of commercial success, made their longevity unusual in an industry often defined by fleeting collaborations and one-hit wonders. Dunn has also been forthright about the competitive reality of country music. Behind the public-facing camaraderie lies an environment where rivalries simmer, decisions are strategic, and success is hard-won. On podcasts and interviews, he has described the industry as a space where everybody hates one another behind the scenes, a blunt statement that underscores the contrast between the polished, friendly image presented to fans and the often harsh, high-stakes environment artists navigate daily. For Dunn, this candid acknowledgement of industry realities is not cynical. It's an essential truth that shapes how Brooks and Dunn approach their careers, collaborations, and creative decisions. Importantly, Dunn's commentary highlights that the duo's ongoing collaboration is not a product of perfect personal chemistry. Over decades, both he and Brooks have pursued solo projects, taken breaks, and navigated disagreements. Yet they continue to work together because of mutual respect and a recognition of the unique musical legacy they created. This professional understanding allows them to reconcile differences, maintain creative synergy, and produce new work that honors their history while remaining fresh and relevant. What do you think about what Ronnie Dunn revealed about Brooks and Dunn? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.